So Super Mario Bros. Wonder does so much to bring back a uniqueness, a joy, a creativity, just that sense of genuine, wholesome fun that so many of us had back in the day and has just sort of been missing in the industry as a whole for the past, so many years. That said, Nintendo, I think, has been one who's done a great job at preserving that through a lot of their games, but Super Mario Bros. Wonder especially shows that there's still a future for Mario games, especially 2D Mario games, and really good ones at that. Welcome, my friends, to my review of Super Mario Bros. Wonder on the Nintendo Switch. As you may already know and be able to tell, I really loved this game, and I'm going to explain why. I'm going to try to avoid big spoilers. I will quickly give you spoiler warnings on kind of some of the stuff that I think maybe some people might find mildly spoilery, but I'm not going to give away anything of like the story or any of the bosses or anything like that. What I will say is that the first thing I noticed about this game is the vibrancy of it. I don't know what they did, but the colors of this game just pop. They're so vibrant, they're so colorful, and I really, really love that about this game because personally speaking, I'm just a sucker for, really nice colors. The color palette is phenomenal. As you know, or may not know, the cast is a whole new English cast, right? So Charles is no longer doing the voice of Mario. He's retired at this point. So there's new voice actors, but you wouldn't really know it because they did a really good job. So I'll just leave it at that. There's not a whole lot more to say about that, but I'll just say that all the voice acting across all the characters sounded legit. They sounded, they didn't sound weird or too different or off-putting or anything like that. So great job to them. Now, this game is not taking place in the Mushroom Kingdom. It's taking place in what is being called the Flower Kingdom, which is a whole other world. And because of that, it's not a game where you're going to save Princess Peach. It's a game where you're going to save the Flower Kingdom from Bowser. Again, this is not spoilery. It's been in the trailers. So Bowser is up to his mischievous plans as always, but this time you get to select from a wide variety of characters, from Mario, Princess Peach, Toads, Daisy, Yoshi's, Luigi, Nabbit. Now, it is worth noting Yoshi and Luigi are kind of like easy mode characters, right? So do keep that in mind where, things like damage and stuff, you can't really take damage from enemies, things like that, which is a little disappointing that it's not just an option you can turn on with any character on or off, because it would be nice to be able to play as Yoshi without, having to play on quote-unquote easy mode, if you will. And likewise, I'm sure there's people that want to play as Mario, but maybe are a younger audience, or maybe not as used to playing some of these kind of games, or maybe they're just struggling with certain levels that want to play as Mario or some of the main cast, and they may not be able to because, again, that kind of mode is locked, or that easy thing is locked kind of to characters specifically rather than a toggle. It would have been nice if it was just a toggle kind of switch, right? That said, there are typical kind of, Mario format 6 worlds, and then you got your final world, and I will say something a little bit later, but we'll save that for that. In this game, there are tons of secrets. So if you grew up on Super Mario World, for example, that's one of my favorite games of all time from the Super NES. One of the great things about that game is there was a lot of, secrets to discover, a lot of secret pathways, hidden exits in some levels, different things like that. And you do have some of that. I will say there's not as many, hidden kind of exits or secret exits as I guess maybe I would have thought. Maybe if there was just a few more, but there's a good amount nonetheless. Again, I haven't really thought it through and haven't really compared it to Super Mario World, but either way, there's secret exits, different things like that. There's secrets to find in an overworld, even secret areas and levels that are kind of hidden around in the overworld that are not, as obvious and whatnot. So those are really cool to see also just kind of scattered throughout the game, right? So there's a lot to discover on your own as well, beyond just what's actually, in the game. It has a very nice overview kind of kingdom map that is very colorful, very vibrant, just looks great to kind of, see what the map looks like and where you're currently located, different things like that. Each region has a good amount of levels, actually. And in each level, you're trying to collect these things called Wonder Seeds, and Wonder Seeds are going to be used kind of typical to like other games where you maybe have to collect so many stars to unlock the next area or different things like that. You're going going to need so many wonder seeds to unlock, you know, to cross a bridge, or to unlock the castle in that region to be able to play it, and different things like that, right? So that's kind of how that works. And then each region you're trying to do the main castle, the main kind of ending, which switches up a little bit, and you kind of see there's some creative ways that they do things with that. Again, I don't want to go too much into spoilers, but and you're collecting these kind of royal seeds, right? Which are the kind of the main. It's like a grand star in other Mario games, if you played past Mario games. Now beyond that, each level, or at least the majority of the levels, have these other things called wonder flowers. There's these hidden flowers in the world. There's only one of them in each level, and when you find them, it completely transforms the level into these really fun, kind of creative ways. It's hard to explain. So for example, one level you might have a bunch of piranhas that are coming out and singing to the beat of the song or something, right? Other ones might transform Mario into a different kind of thing, like an enemy, right? Like a Goomba, for just a random example, right? Or other kinds of unique enemies. Speaking of enemies, by the way, just real quick, there are a lot of new enemies in this game beyond what they had even revealed. So there's a lot of new stuff in this game. Also a lot of new power-ups as well, like the elephant power-up. So there's a lot of different stuff to see there as well. Really exciting stuff about that. But back to the wonder flowers, it really makes... It just makes everything so much more unique and creative in a way, where it just, again, it transforms the level into something completely different for a moment of time, where you have to go through this section, and then at the end you get a bonus wonder seed. So you get a wonder seed for finishing the level when you go down the flagpole, but then you also get a wonder seed if you can finish these wonder flower transformations as well. And again, they are so unique and so creative. Like, if you can sit here and try to imagine how a level could be transformed, you will never ever come up with even like half of the ideas they came up with. Like, it's really cool. I really love that aspect of it, and I would highly recommend doing your very best to find all the wonder flowers, because the way that it transforms the levels, it's just, again, it's so unique, and you never know what's going to happen when you pick up one of these flowers, and the whole level just kind of changes. So again, I'm putting a lot of the emphasis on that, because that was a huge key point to me, that I felt it was just really unique and really creative, and just an absolute joy and fun with the game. And those are kind of the key words I'm using a lot with this. Is, you know, it's unique, creative, it's a joy, and it's just wholesome fun. And why do I say those? Well, because it feels like, first of all, when I say creative and unique, it feels like the devs had fun making this game. And maybe you know what I mean, maybe you don't, but there's certain games where you just feel like, okay, the devs actually had a lot of fun making this, right? And it just comes off that way. And again, you get that sense of it, right? There's some games where you can feel like it was just a game that was just kind of, you know, it just went through the factory, went through all the mechanics just to churn it out and, you know, get it out there. You know, you've probably experienced those games as well in the past, right? Not usually from Nintendo, to be fair. Nintendo usually makes, you know, like I said, they feel pretty wholesome, but this one especially, it feels like when you're playing through this game that the devs just really had a lot of fun. It feels like, I can only imagine, from my sense as a player, it feels like the devs were probably smiling like a lot of the time through the creative process, at least the creative parts, right? I'm sure they probably had headaches, you know, with, you know, some of the bugs and stuff, like any development stuff, but you know what I mean, okay? I digress. Point being, so many different levels to explore, so many different things to do, to see. Again, new power-ups, lots of new enemies, you know, different kinds of creatures, different kinds of environments, right? So many different environments, right? Again, you have your kind of, you know, more grassy environments, and you have kind of like the sky stuff, and the snowy, and the tropical, and the desert, and you know, all the stuff you're kind of used to in the kind of lava stuff and whatnot. So you have all your typical levels, but the worlds are actually not split up in the way you would expect, right? Normally you'd expect, oh, world one's going to be kind of more grassy, and there's a few levels in there that kind of mix it up, and it's not necessarily all grassy, and then you'd expect, oh, world two is going to be the desert. That's kind of how it's always been, but they actually don't do that. They shake it up a little bit. World 2 is completely different. I'm not going to spoil it, but you know, you're not going to expect the order that you typically go through, right? You'd expect, like, let's say World 5 or something, World 4 or 5 to be the Cloud World or something, right? I mean, if you played enough Mario games, you know what I'm talking about. And again, it doesn't do that. It shakes it up completely. And it's really unique. Like I said, really, really creative. Now, there is one thing I'll say. It's a very minor spoiler, excuse me. I'm not going to tell you how to unlock it. I'm not going to tell you how to get there. Not in this video. I'm not going to tell you any details about it. I'm not going to show any gameplay of it. I'm just going to mention it in passing. There is a secret world, though. So just like other Mario games, I mean, again, this is not really a big spoiler. Like a lot of other Mario games, there is a special world that you can unlock. And again, you got to find your way to get to it. And there's multiple, it's kind of like Super Mario World. There's multiple ways to get there. And that's what I'm saying is, like, it kind of feels like there's a lot of inspiration taken from the best 2D Mario games, and it kind of took all the inspiration there, but it's not just like a best of or something like that. It's just like, well, what made people love these games, and how can we make it new and better and just bigger and whatever. Now those levels are some of the higher difficulty, just like in any other special world in any other 2D Mario game. They're really going to put you to the test, right? They're going to put your skills to the challenge, and this is no different. That's all I'll say about that. I'll let you discover it for your own, but you can expect that, and it's that adds a whole other kind of thing to expect beyond just the kind of the main game. There's also medals. There's 6 medals. Now, at the time of recording this, I'm actually not sure how to get them all, but I wouldn't tell you anyways because I don't want to spoil it. But one of the medals you get just for beating the game. Assumingly, one of the medals would probably be for collecting all the Wonder Seeds, and so on and so forth. So there's 6 different medals to do. So if you want to go for, beyond kind of just like a whole completion, beyond just actually beating the story and the main kind of game, you could do that as well. So there is some replayability value there as well. Or again, just kind of like completion value if you're just kind of maybe trying to get 100% as you go through the first time. Or again, you can go back and discover anything you missed on a second or third playthrough if you want. Again, this game is just a blast. And there is another thing I need to mention before we actually close this out that I almost forgot about, which I shouldn't have. Actually, 2 things. Number 1 are medals. Medals are badges. Excuse me, badges they're called. So badges are something that you can equip that will give you different kinds of abilities, and they're split into a couple different categories. And again, I'm not going to show you any of them on screen, but I'll give you a couple examples. One of them would be a parachute cap, meaning when you're in midair, if you press the R button, you pull out your hat and kind of use it as a parachute. There's a couple different other ones that they've revealed already, like a higher jump or different things like that. There's a lot of unique ones. There's another category that will give you stuff like, extra, I'll give you coins for always defeating enemies. Or there's one that's kind of like a sensor that'll sense and kind of beep if there's like wonder flowers nearby or different things like that. And then there's a couple other ones that, have to do with, like, you can go invisible, which makes enemies impossible to spot you, but you can't see yourself either. So there's kind of like that trick there. And there's a couple other ones like of that nature as well. So again, there's a couple different, there's a lot of different medals. I'm looking at them, and there's a lot. There's like, I think over 15 for sure, just off the top of my head. Some of them you get from completing certain levels that are kind of like levels that will reward you with badges. Other ones you can buy at shops using this brand new not reward system, but brand new coins called flower coins. You also have your typical gold coins as well, which you collect 100, you get a 1-up. But you also have flower coins. They can be used for a couple other things besides just the shops that you'll find around the world. And then there's a couple other things beyond that we got to touch on as well. So like I said, there's the shops, there's the flower coins that are new. There's these badges, and again, you can equip whatever you want, or you can equip none. If you want to use no badges, you can do that as well. If you want to go through the game with no badges. The other thing is there's an online functionality. Now there's these things called standees. They're kind of like these wooden things. When you activate, if you go to them, so when you die, you kind of turn into a bubble, and you have a 5-second timer. It starts counting down until you're actually completely dead. Or if you just want to completely die right away, you can press L and R and just kind of give up. But standees are something that if you activate one that is left around the world, you can go to it and it kind of brings you back instead of, you know, if you're not playing with someone, because typically if you're playing with someone, you just kind of float over to them and hit the bubble and then you're back, right? Kind of like in recent Mario games like New Super Mario Bros. U. But it doesn't work like that in this game. Well, it does, but there's more. There's more depth to it is what I mean to say. So again, there's these standees, but also if you're not playing with someone, you can activate the Wi-Fi, the online functionality, turn that on. And what happens then is in real time, you see other players around the world playing the game. So if you're playing through a level, it's going to put a couple other people in that level with you at the same time, and they're kind of like ghosts, and for the most part you can't interact with them. Like if they're doing something in the world, it's not going to do it in your world. Not the same as if you're playing locally. But if they drop, so you can hold two items, right? You have the item that is on you, but then you have a spare item, right, that you hold A to drop. If you drop your item, one of these ghost players that are playing at the same time as you, they can actually grab that if they want. So that is the only way they can kind of technically interact with you. That, and if you die and turn into that bubble, you can get one of these ghost players to revive you. And likewise, you can see them kind of floating around. You can revive them. So it's really cool. So in one sense, it doesn't really, you know, mess with your gameplay, where you can still play the level on your own, but at the same time, you have people playing at the same time with you that can interact with in those kind of little ways, right? So if you do want that extra little kind of help. But yeah, so that's really cool. I think the online functionality is phenomenal. It's been really cool to try to figure out puzzles in some of the levels with random players and different things like that. But honestly, there's so much more I can say about this game, guys, but we're already running this video very long. But I just want to say at the end of the day, I have to give this game, I think, a solid like let's go with a 9.7 out of 10. This game was phenomenal. I highly recommend it. If you have a Nintendo Switch, it's a must play. You cannot have a Nintendo Switch and not play this game, in my opinion. It is so good. It is one of the best 2D Marios of all time. I think maybe the second best. Super Mario World is very hard to top for me because maybe I'm nostalgic, but either way, this game is phenomenal. They blew me away with it. It's an incredible joy. It's just wholesome fun. Like I said, creative, unique, and just so much unexpected surprises in this game. And honestly, I don't think you'd be disappointed playing this game. I think this is so good, and it gives me a lot of hope for the future of Mario and all things Nintendo. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this one, leave a like, subscribe for more. And if you've played the game, let me know what you think down in the comments. And what would you rate it out of 10? Again, I give it a 9.7 because it's a really good game. Thanks for watching. Until the next one, friends. Game on, and I'll see you guys soon.